In this Make It Once video, it's my Prius Versatile. Most of my videos are about my old Volvos. That's probably why you're watching, is because I do a lot of different things with Marty and Newton. But back in the day, Volvos were actually not very cool, not very interesting. I remember my uncle had one. They were family cars, you know, the opposite of cool, not very interesting. Then as they got older, people used to turn them into surfer cars and weekend warrior kind of stuff. But the current version of what that car might be is the Toyota Prius. The internet's most hated car, as it's otherwise known. My Prius V with blue plates is not a popular car, but it's been my daily for a long time, and I figured I would tell you guys about it. And I always kind of wonder, will the Prius ever become what the Volvo has become, or is there going to be a cult following in 20-30 years with the not very many that survive? Will people engine swap them or whatever? I'm not really sure, but I haven't driven the Prius very much. Been driving the Volvo and the truck, so it does need a wash and a clean, just like Newton did. You can even see the cobwebs, dirty windows. Also looks like one of the tires is low from sitting around. Tends to be a problem. And I don't even remember what the tire pressure is supposed to be on these. Let's take a look. It is 33 rear, 35 front. And the reason being is that there's a lot of weight in the back because the batteries are underneath the rear seats. Under 30. So I'll pump that up. So I use this air pump honestly because it's just a little bit faster. I can have it lying around. If it's an electric one, you have to plug it in, and if it's a battery powered, you have to charge it up. Just another device. This one we use for the bikes, and that's enough to give it 2-3 pounds of pressure right there. A little bit of a workout sometimes. Oops, I even went over. That was just 10 seconds of pumping. I went over 35, so just let a little bit of air out. I'm all for power tools, but sometimes it's overkill. So that's exactly 35, right on the money. So the story behind this blue plate is that it was actually on my parents' car when I was growing up. And then it was an old Chrysler Town & Country powder blue. And then they bought an 87 Jetta, which is what I ended up learning how to drive on. I ended up with a Jetta. I bought it from my parents when I went to college. And then I've been transferring it from car to car ever since. So it was on the Chrysler, Volkswagen Jetta, Honda Civic, 2007 Prius, and now 2014 Prius. So it's been on 5 different cars, and every time I register or go in, DMV wants me to turn in the plates, and I always just laugh. I'm like, absolutely no way I'm turning in old blue plates. I don't think they like them drifting around. They always want me to turn in, but by law they can't force me to, so I'm going to keep those blue plates on my cars as long as absolutely possible. So let's drive around for a second, see if I can get rid of that pressure sensor light. Finally on my way to drop off the donation goods, and just to kind of see if the TPMS light goes out. My general review of this car after having it for multiple years is that the Prius V is a station wagon. It's a utility vehicle. It actually doesn't get as good gas mileage as the standard model, but it has a huge carrying capacity, 50% more interior space. We've used it to go on long trip vacations up north to Oregon. I've carried 2 kayaks, several hundred miles on the freeway, fully loaded, camp gear, all that kind of stuff. It's basically the equivalent of what you would think of the old Volvos used to be. We just throw everything in the car and go with the family. Now, the big complaint that most people have, and I've actually had conversations with people that drive more cars that are more powerful, is that people that drive the Prius drive too slow. It's too slow. It doesn't have enough power. I don't think that's really the case. In my experience, the people that drive slow just drive slow regardless of the car that they're in. A Prius encourages you to glide and not be zooming around because it's almost like a game. It's just the way the car wants to drive. I enjoy kind of just not thinking about it. The car just goes. So as a no-brainer car, a daily driver, it does that really, really well. So I'm going to take the freeway over. Usually I don't. I'm going to floor it as I enter the freeway if these cars in front of me get out of the way. So you can see it can enter at highway speed. It picks up. It's not a race car, but it's also not super underpowered. It doesn't look like this guy's going to get out of the way. So I got up to the safe speed in a couple seconds there. No big deal. Engine was roaring. It's the 1.4 liter engine was roaring to life. But in the Bay Area, honestly, there's not that many chances to go really fast. You can actually even see the traffic going the other direction. Just sitting in traffic in a car going and saving you gas is more important than zooming around on the weekends. The reason why I end up have so many cars is just that each car kind of does its thing. This car moves the kids around really efficient and quietly and easily. My truck moves all my gear around and furniture, and when I need a truck, I have a truck. And then, you know, the fun car for the weekend is going to be my Volvo, and my wife now has the Leaf to commute to work. Nice and quiet, easy to drive, almost no expense. I personally don't think SUVs do anything very well, so why have one car that does nothing well when you can have 3 cars that do something really well? Handling is not great, but it has more to do with the fact that it's heavy for its size. There's a big giant battery in the back. But also because of that, it has pretty heavy duty springs, so it can carry a pretty good load. Some of the other arguments that I read about when the Prius first came out was that Toyota was either losing money on every car just to make a political point, or that you can't make money on something like this because they're so expensive to produce. All of that fell flat. Toyota obviously used its huge size to develop the car, and I'm sure they lost a lot of development money to begin with to get the Prius into so many markets, but that's true of every single car. And you know, here they are, millions of cars later, and how many years has it been? 2002 maybe, I think, is when they first came out. 2003, something like that, going on 18 years. I don't think Toyota made a bad move there. And who cares as a consumer what a company decides to do? I've always applauded any auto manufacturer that's going to be trying to be innovative. And the Prius uses a hybrid technology that actually is from the 70s. Hybrid mathematics were developed in the mid-70s, so it wasn't a new concept. It just took a big company like Toyota to actually develop it. It all started with the Prius. A lot of people forget about that. The Prius was the first mass production vehicle. We wouldn't be where we are with vehicle tech unless Toyota kind of paved the way. Anyway, next got to clean up all the windshield, vacuum the car, and away we go.